So I wanted to talk a little bit about the fruitarian diet. I'm not a fan of the fruitarian diet. When I used to run a group for overweight people, I would bring it up because there were some people that had tried to lose weight on a fruitarian diet, and it's many of them lost weight, but it's just plain not sustainable, especially because people are not practicing a fruitarian diet properly. I'm not a proponent of a fruitarian diet by any stretch of the imagination. I do not recommend a fruitarian diet, but what the problems with a fruitarian diet are not the fact that it's a fruitarian diet. The confusion comes in between a fruitarian diet, which is a branch of veganism, which the philosophy of fruitarianism is that you're not cutting the plant or harming the plant. You're only taking what the plant is freely giving you. So no leaves, stems, stalks, roots, etc. Only the fruit. However, on a traditional fruitarian diet, prior to popular fruitarianism, it was not uncommon to eat seeds that came in the fruits. For example, a pumpkin is a fruit, but inside the pumpkin are seeds, and you would eat the seeds. An almond is the seed of a fruit, and then you would eat the almonds, which are the almond. The almond is a seed within a fruit. Legumes are the seed of a fruit called a bean pod. The thing that I found kind of ridiculous about the philosophical concept of fruitarianism in the modern world is very, 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 very rarely are fruits harvested when ripe. Almost never are they harvested when they are ripe. A couple of the problems with modern fruitarians, they are raw foodists, as I've stated in the past. You cannot absorb raw food. The human body was meant to absorb cooked foods. Okay, so you can't absorb the raw foods. Now, people that are not ethical fruitarians, but are fruitarians for health reasons, have come to the conclusion that, the erroneous conclusion, mind you, that our closest ancestors, or not, our closest cousins, I should say, in the primate kingdom, or the primate family, the chimpanzees and the bonobos, the erroneous idea that chimpanzees and bonobos are frugivores. They're not frugivores. Chimpanzees and bonobos eat a varied diet. They're omnivores. They eat insects. They eat grubs. They eat bugs. They eat monkeys in some cases. They eat eggs. And they eat figs, and they eat leaves, and they eat pith, and they eat a lot of other things. And I'm going to leave a link to what a chimpanzee's diet is. I, too, believe a chimpanzee's diet is the perfect diet for humans, except for the not cooking part. The primary difference between the diet of a chimpanzee and the diet of a primitive human is that primitive humans cook their food. That's the primary difference. And there is a theory that cooked foods are why people have big brains, which makes sense because chimpanzees eat meat and chimpanzees aren't geniuses. Although I do think chimpanzees are smarter than most people that I've met. So I think the first step in balancing a fruitarian diet is, number one, start looking to fruits and fruit-like, what are called fruit-like vegetables. They're still fruits. Biologically speaking, they're fruits. Things like eggplants, tomatoes, zucchini, squash. These are all fruits. Avocados, olives, etc. All fruits. And incorporating the seeds of fruits, such as pumpkin seeds, watermelon seeds, almonds, walnuts, etc. Into the diet. Now, these are all in a fruitarian diet. And then you get into the point where you need to start considering the fact that you need to begin to supplement with salt, with sodium. And I ran into this problem following a whole food vegan diet. for the simple fact that when you're not eating any refined foods, now I also wasn't adding salt because I was listening to Dr. Greger and his no salt gospel. But the truth is, you need salt. You need, especially for somebody like me that exercises as frequently as I do, I need salt. I need salt and I need the other electrolytes too, the magnesium, the potassium, etc. And I do. I supplement with magnesium. I supplement with calcium. I don't supplement with sodium, generally speaking, unless I'm on a whole food kick where I'm just not eating anything with the salt, and then I might take a couple sodium tablets a day that are about 200 milligrams per tablet. But my point is, if you're on a fruitarian diet, which is basically void of salt, there's virtually no salt in most fruits. In fact, I would be hard pressed to find besides maybe a coconut, and that's not even a whole lot of salt, but it would be hard for me to find a fruit that contained adequate amounts of sodium for the human body. And that's the thing, is there's not enough salt in fruit. And that's Mahatma Gandhi was famous for stating that his people needed salt because of their strict vegetarian diets during the Salt March. The other thing is, you have to consider the need for cooking foods. And that's another primary downfall of the fruitarian diet, is the lack of cooked foods. There's nothing wrong with cooking foods, okay? Cooked foods, your body absorbs cooked foods better. Raw foodism can cause severe malnutrition in people because people can't absorb the micro or macronutrients in raw food, especially fibrous vegetable matter such as fruits. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to absorb the goodness of the fruits if your whole diet is fruit. Now, there's nothing wrong with eating raw fruit as a snack or something like that, but when your whole diet is fruits, you need to think about, how am I going to get the nutrients from that fruit and put those nutrients into me? And cooking is the way to do that. So things like tomato sauces, pureed pumpkin, things of that nature. It allows you to absorb the beta carotene, absorb the lycopene, absorb the nutrients, absorb this, absorb that. And the other thing is, like I said, legumes are part of a traditional fruitarian diet. Last I checked, soybeans were a legume. Last I checked, tofu could be on a fruitarian diet. Okay, there are things that can be on a fruitarian diet. Olive oil can be on a fruitarian diet, depending on one's concept. What's it called? Not just olive oil, avocado oil. Depending on how strictly one is, maybe even canola oil for the omega-3s. The point I'm making is, if you know what's actually in foods and what's actually allowed on this diet or that diet, you can have a fairly balanced diet if you're a fruitarian. In my opinion, everybody should supplement, and I want to make sure that everybody knows I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, not a chiropractor, not a nurse, not a scientist, not a medical practitioner by any stretch of the imagination. Don't take advice from me. I'm not here to give advice. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. But my point is you can have a very balanced diet and only be consuming fruits. It's just you have to consume a variety of those fruits and the seeds present in those fruits, and to supplement with salt. One of the problems with a fruitarian diet, like for me, I like to eat to get micronutrients. I do supplement with boron, and I have a couple other micro minerals in my multivitamin, like chromium and things like that. But for vegetarians, they can eat seaweed. Okay, they can eat like roasted nori or something like that. A fruitarian can't, because seaweed's not on the diet. So where are they getting this? You know what I mean? They have to find a way to get these micro minerals. And that's where I think, and I'm going to leave a link to Dr. Joel Wallach's Essential Nutrients. I think it's important that 90 Essential Nutrients, I think it's important that everybody considers supplementation, not necessarily getting the supplements from Wallach, but if you're following a restrictive diet like a fruitarian diet, it makes sense to consider the fact that maybe you should be supplementing with key microminerals that are going to be probably absent for the most part in your diet. And that's all for this video.